Today, we're going to take a trip to a really unique corner of Germany. It's a land of tangled waterways and ancient traditions, where we're going to explore the absolutely fascinating and resilient culture of the Sorbian people.
So if you ever found yourself driving through the Lusatia region, which is just southeast of Berlin, you might have seen something that made you do a double take. Road signs written in two different languages. And that second language, the one that looks very Slavic, well, that's your first clue that there's a whole culture hiding in plain sight.
So let's meet them. These are the Sorbs, also known as the Wends. They're actually one of Germany's 4 officially recognized national minorities. Their ancestors, Slavic tribes like the Lusici, settled in this area over 1,400 years ago. I mean, we're talking way back in the 6th century, and they have managed to hold on to their unique language and culture ever since.
And believe me, their story is one of incredible resilience. For centuries, they were under intense pressure to assimilate. There were even policies that banned their language from schools and public life. But somehow, they held on. A huge turning point was in 1912 with the founding of the Domowina, which is basically an organization that said, okay, we need to actively protect our Sorbian identity.
So what does this culture actually look like? Well, the best way to understand its heartbeat is to look at their yearly cycle of traditions. A lot of these have roots that go back centuries, even before Christianity arrived in the region.
All right, let's kick things off with the most popular celebration in Lower Lusatia. It's called Zapust, or Shrovetide. Now forget everything you know about quiet winter days. This is a loud, colorful, amazing festival where thousands of people take to the streets in the villages around the city of Kapus. And there's some really deep symbolism going on here. See, Zapust isn't just a big party, it's actually a pre-Christian ritual. All the loud noises, the music, the dancing, it was all meant to literally scare away the demons of winter and wake up the earth for the new planting season.
So after you've chased away winter, you get to another iconic Sorbian tradition. And oh boy, have they turned this one into a true art form, decorating Easter eggs. For centuries, the egg has been this powerful symbol of fertility and new life.
And the Sorbs have developed these unbelievably detailed techniques for their eggs. First, there's the wax method, where you draw patterns with hot wax, which then resists the dye. Then there's the scratch technique, which is kind of the opposite. You dye the egg first, and then painstakingly etch a design onto the surface. You can just imagine how steady your hand has to be for that.
Now, as the year rolls on into autumn, we have the Harvest Festival, or Kokot, which celebrates the end of the grain harvest. A really central ancient custom here is called plucking the cock. Young men on horseback ride at full gallop to snatch the head of a dead rooster from a decorated gate. It's rooted in old beliefs about fertility and scaring off evil spirits, and whoever wins is the harvest king for the day.
But you know, these traditions didn't just appear out of nowhere. You really can't get a feel for Sorbian culture without understanding the unique landscape that shaped it, the Spreewald.
The famous German poet Theodor Fontane just nailed it. When he saw the village of Lehde, he called it a pocket-sized Venice. And you know what? That's the perfect way to describe a region that's defined not by roads, but by water.
The lifeblood of the Spreewald is its massive network of Fließe. Now, we're not just talking about a few rivers here. This is a dense, interwoven tapestry of hundreds of natural streams and man-made canals that connect absolutely everything. For centuries, these were the streets.
For hundreds of years, water was everything. The flat-bottomed punt boat, the canoe, wasn't a tourist attraction. It was the family car, the delivery truck, and the school bus all rolled into one. These canals made it possible to farm the marshland, and they wove the whole community together. Your neighbor was always just a short boat ride away.
But this isn't just a history lesson. This culture is alive and well. So let's take a look at how these traditions are thriving and adapting here in the 21st century. A perfect example is the traditional Sorbian costume. While the simpler, everyday workwear might be a thing of the past, the stunningly elaborate festive costumes, they are still worn with so much pride for church, festivals, and other special occasions.
And these costumes are basically a language all on their own. They're not uniforms. The specific style of the headdress, the colors, the embroidery, all of it can tell you where a woman is from, whether she's married or single, and even what kind of event she's going to. It's a visual code of identity.
You see this same mix of old and new on the dinner plate. You take these humble, traditional staples, like the world-famous Spreewald Gurken or linseed oil with quark, and now they're the foundation for a modern, experimental gourmet scene. You've got award-winning chefs reinterpreting these classic flavors in really exciting new ways.
And places like the Spreewald Museum play such a vital role. They aren't just dusty collections of old things. They're more like story keepers. They meticulously preserve the tools, the costumes, and the oral histories that define this culture, making sure its legacy gets passed on.
Okay, so if all this has sparked your curiosity, I have some great news. This is a culture you can actually go and experience for yourself. So, how do you do it? Well, here's a little game plan. You could start at the Spreewald Museum to get the full story. Then, you absolutely have to take a traditional con trip through a village like Lehde. And, of course, you've got to taste the gherkins. If you can time your visit for a festival, you'll get to see those incredible costumes come to life. And that right there is the most important thing to get. Sorbian culture isn't a historical reenactment or a performance for tourists. It is a living, breathing heritage, one that has navigated centuries of change and continues to adapt, innovate, and thrive right in the heart of modern Germany.
Which kind of leaves us with one final thought. In our increasingly globalized world, the story of the Sorbs, their resilience, their deep connection to their home, their vibrant traditions, it really poses a question for all of us. What is the true value of cultural diversity, and how do we make sure these unique human stories survive?